Good afternoon, Ben. Thank you for taking some time out and getting involved in this week's Business Owner Spotlight. Would you like to go ahead, introduce yourself, and tell us a bit about your businesses?
How you doing, Scott? Ben O'Hanlon. I have a few businesses down here. Of the Toddsleap Outdoor Activity Centre, which we cater for all sorts of sizes of groups. And then we have the Toddsleap racking and shelving business, where we do industrial warehouse fitting out and storage products for lots of different businesses. And we have a specialised Land Rover rebuild factory as well, where we rebuild Land Rovers for people, mostly Defenders, but we work at that as well. So we've lots going on down here.
Very good. Yeah, pretty diverse range of industries and businesses to be in. Tell how long have the business been going, and how did you end up getting involved in those three?
Well, I started in the racking business. The racking business is going about 40 years old now, and the activity centre didn't really start by accident, but it was a spin-off from the racking because we had spare labour capacity when we were doing fitting jobs, and to keep the teams together, I bought the site, the Toddsleap Activity Centre now, and I started building off-road tracks, and started with a motocross track and then Land Rover racing track and stuff like that, and it sort of kept our crew of lads, fitters, busy. And sure. Then as one business grew, the other business grew along with. So I always say that my racking business is work and my activity centre is play. So I
was going to say that it seems like there was a bit of a passion there that maybe led you into that, was there?
Well, it was because it was just a play thing, and it was a hobby, just a hobby gone mad. That's what it is. You know what I mean? It's just we do it for a bit of crack, and we still do it for a bit of crack.
Very good, happy days. So like in those types of businesses, like who would be your ideal customer? Who would you most want to talk to about the racking business and about the activity centre?
Well, there's really no relation between the two businesses in terms of customer. There is, just by being known and stuff.
Of course.
But the racking business, anybody that's involved in storage, from the sole trader with 2 or 3 pallets at the house to a bit of industrial shelving, right through to deep store pallet racking, deep freeze racking, shuttle racking. We're all over. We're all over the UK with that business, all over Ireland.
Okay.
And we do some massive jobs in it, but we also do quite small jobs as well. So it's really a business to business, a B2B all the way. We're working with traders, and we're helping them with their storage arrangements and utilising their space. So we score when businesses are expanding, and we score when they're contracting. If anything to do with storage, we're heavily involved with it.
Very cool. And then the activity centre, then is it somebody who could come on their own, or is it corporate stuff, or what way are you dealing with that?
I always say to people, and people say to me, many people can come to the activity centre, how old do you have to be? And I say, if there's money in your wee pockets, But we take single people, we do activities for people, but we work with groups. So probably our biggest sector would be hen and stag groups.
Okay, cool.
Then youth and school, and then corporate. Now the amazing thing about corporate is because we're fulfilling corporate requirement for staff well-being and all that there, and social outgoings. Our product into corporate activity is totally tax deductible. So in other words, if you own a business and you want to take your staff out for the day, you can bring them here for some inclusive training, shall we call it, and have a day out, and it's fully tax refundable. So that's our ideal customer, is the big corporate. We have gone as far as over 1,000 people in a single day for a single customer.
Okay.
But most of our groups are 20s, 30s. It's the smaller groups. So we would have multiples of them on a given day. The thing about it is, we put smiles on people's faces. That's our business, and we bring people beyond their comfort zone, get them to do activities that they normally wouldn't do.
Yeah.
The offshoot of that is very good for team building, team bonding, and social inclusion with the groups.
Yes.
So we would do a lot of that with youth in school, where we're doing like what they call a social inclusion, where we're breaking down barriers and getting people to have a bit of fun together and getting on with each other. So they're two diverse businesses, but they
100%. And where can we find you, Ben?
Well, we're just off the Ballygolly roundabout, right over the road, a couple of miles from the roundabout in Ballygolly. We're signposted from the end of the motorway. You'll see our nice brown tourist board sign. So
So easy enough to find then.
Probably.
And then just the last one then you mentioned the Land Rover business then is that somebody who has maybe an old Defender and they want help restoring it? Is that the sort of
We would
thing
do a
you
lot of that. We tend to, but we started off building race vehicles, but we would tend now to build specialist vehicles for collectors and for people who want to restore. So a lot of the cases, it was the family vehicle or something like that, and they
sure.
wanted restored to its former glory. So we sort of specialize in that,
It's a
that
bit, it's a bit,
particular business, specialize in that. They keep our team of Land Rovers going for the activity centre, and then
yes.
the fleet of vehicles for the racking business, and then any spare time we're rebuilding Land Rover, and so we sort of
Cool.
specialize in Defender. We've always had them.
Yeah.
We've been working at Defenders for over 40 years, so we know quite a bit about them. But
That's a bit more niche then.
it's a wee bit more niche, and then it's a sort of as a specialism. I mean, a lot of people
Yeah.
would claim to be experts, but I don't remember them being experts 20 years ago.
Fair enough. And that leads me nicely then into my next question, Ben. How did you get started in business in the first place, and when was that?
Well, ironically, I have never worked for anybody. I've always been in business from I left
Sure.
school.
Okay.
So I was always, well, probably too awkward to work with people, too focused on my own thing. Do you know what I mean? And wouldn't be good. I personally wouldn't be good at taking direction.
Fair
So
enough.
I can see a better way a lot of the time, and then you have to put your money where your mouth is, and then you're on with it.
Yeah. And so when did you start your first business then?
I started my first business literally when I was 15 years of age when I left school.
And what was that?
I was mechanicking and actually painting trucks and into
Cool.
that heavy sort of stuff, plant and painting and refurbing that, you know what I mean? And I worked my way right through that. Done quite a while in ground support aviation equipment
Okay.
and got away from that and then got into storage equipment. So I'm a reasonably good mechanic on my own right,
Yes.
and I'm a good fabricator and so on. So I fell into the racking business probably in the late 80s.
Okay.
And I really fell into the racking business by accident. I fell in through, I actually painted a pile of shelving for a guy, and he asked me then would I fit it for him. And a late friend of mine, Aidan Kilpatrick, a very, very good friend of mine, he died very, very young, but Aidan asked me would I fit the shelving for him because he says the clowns that he had working for him would only scrape it. It's freshly painted. So we fitted it, and when he went to pay me, he says, how much have you to get that guy? He says, just whatever you pay, don't make any and I'll never forget, he paid me as much as I would have got for respraying a motor car at the time.
Yes.
For like a day's work, and I'm thinking this is a lot better paying than what I'm at.
As
So
the
I
man
accidentally
says,
slipped across, started putting up shelving, and
as
the
the
man
man
says the
says, we
rest is history.
probably all said it like I'm in the wrong business, but the only difference is you did something about it.
Well, I've done that a few times in my life. There's an old saying: if you love what you're doing, you're not working.
Yes.
That's not just totally true. You know what I mean? You love what you're doing. You have to enjoy what you're doing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And if you're fighting with a business against your hand, well, then you shouldn't be in it. You should be at something where you're enjoying yourself, because
Yes.
there's actually enough unhealthy people knocking about where you spend your life heading that road,
Yeah.
So I would, my advice to anybody is, if you're not enjoying the business you're in, certainly look at what you would enjoy yourself
Yeah.
doing, and then go for that. I'm very, very adamant with that. I would always profound that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite sayings, as I said earlier, that it's a wandering dog that finds a bone. And
Yeah.
as much as I've been everywhere, I've seen a lot of stuff, and this is sort of where we've ended up.
And and that's a great saying. It's that sort of curiosity, and again, just having the putting your money where your mouth is and backing yourself to go and take the action. I think is I would definitely support all of that. I'm just curious, like over your time in business, Ben, what would you say has been your biggest lesson that you've learned?
Oh, biggest lesson. Well, I preach to the staff here, or I preach in a sort of a mantra. Say what you do and then do what you say.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest fail in business, and it's the biggest disappointment in business when people overpromise and underdeliver.
Mm.
And we actually do it the other way around. We underpromise and then we overdeliver. And the greatest advertising in the whole lot is word of mouth and satisfied customer.
Yeah, you only get a chance to get it wrong once, right?
Yeah, well, Irish people vote with their feet,
Mm.
and that's particularly true. And like you've often heard people saying about the restaurant, what is it like? Oh, the shit, I'm never going back there.
Yeah,
But instead of telling the people that own the place there's something
yeah,
wrong with the meal, if I give them a chance to correct it, or say, oh, I'm never going back. And people, the local population is like that. They give you one crack at it, and if everything's not the way they expect it to be, well, then that's you out. So
yeah.
you really do have to. I would always advocate to treat your customers the way you treated them on your first day in business.
Yes.
If you look at all the wee businesses that open up, and you go to any wee barber or hairdresser or shop or anything else, they would carry the stuff out to the car for you and ask you, do you want coffee, and everything all right, and X, Y, and Z. They really pester you about looking after you. But then as the months roll on, that fades to the point that they're rolling their eyes when you're walking into the shop, and
Yes.
you feel unwelcome. And
Take it for
before you know
granted.
it, the shutters are down and the business is gone. And I've
Yeah.
seen that umpteen times in my lifetime.
And that's obviously stood you with the longevity of your businesses. And when you mentioned, like, in jest that you don't take direction well, and you probably wouldn't work well for somebody else. But have you had to change anything about yourself to stay in business? Have you had to, learn something about yourself and improve in an area to keep going in business?
Well, all the time, like I left school around the time the decimal come in. So I was pound shillings and pence. So when I was forced to introduce to the computer, mind you, me and the keyboard had an interesting few weeks. So I had and I was probably hit me well into my late 20s, early 30s when I was first introduced to the keyboard, and I
Yeah.
had to catch up. Do you know what I mean? And I remember getting an accountant start here, and he put in the accountancy software, and Sage Line 50. So what I done was I went to the tech to night class, and I learned Sage Line 50. Now I don't personally do it, but I wanted to know how it worked.
Yes.
So I suffered the class and suffered the indignation of losing keys off the keyboard and being the class. But I learned enough about Sage Line 50 in that. And plus, it's a fantastic few evenings crack getting out and talking to people and getting away from work and away from pressure. It's a very social event. But the learning was, I knew how the thing worked. So when
Yes.
somebody was speaking to me about my figures, it wasn't completely alien. I knew what they were doing. I had a vague idea what they were doing. Now
Yeah.
that's just one example.
Yes.
You have to keep with it. Like I've had to learn about this vlogging thing, and about this TikTok thing, and about this FaceTube, I call it, Facebook, all
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
digital marketing, all these podcasts and all that. I've had to learn how that all works. I'm still not very hot at it, but you have to learn how it works. You have to get up there, you know what I mean? Get
Yeah.
with it or get behind. That's simple.
Yeah. No, I think that's a brilliant example of what you gave there as well. So you knew enough to have a meaningful conversation.
Yeah.
So you could understand what's going on. Brilliant. And so what does the future look like for you guys? Say where would you hope to be in the next
Well,
sort of?
the future is very interesting for all business because I've just started playing with ChatGPT,
Okay. Yeah.
and there's some businesses I'd be getting out of very, very quick, learning
Yeah.
just by what I can see it, just using it.
Yeah.
And actually, the last time I used it there was on a HR issue.
Okay.
Just fed the information in and said, I want to write a letter to this employee, bang. And
There it
within
is.
nanoseconds,
Yeah.
it gives you, I'm going to say, £300 or £400 worth of information. That's what you would pay to get that. And there's all sorts of legal stuff and all sorts of accountancy stuff is available. Now, the business person that can adapt GDP into their everyday business is
Yes.
going to be streets ahead because it means you don't need as many experts sitting in the room with you.
Yeah.
You can still ring the hotline and you can still get the person you trust. But ChatGPT they'll take the edge off it for you and
Game
give you a
changer.
good position of where you are. So what else to see? Consumers are a lot more picky and a lot more
Educated, aren't
touchy
they?
of themselves than they were before. You know what I mean? There's a whole woke society going on now that's not good for people that identify as a gulpin. And you have to, there's a whole modern approach coming. I see particularly in teenage kids, the they seem to have lost the crack, or what the crack is. You can't pull a joke or nothing now. You know,
Yeah.
you could do something over the internet or over the phone. You contact them over the phone, have a joke, and they'd all roar and laugh. But if you told them a joke or told them anything what we would have known as a joke, they look at you with their old eyes up as if, who's this planker? You know,
Yes.
so the thing's changing. The customer base is changing, both businesses. You know, in the racking business, which is completely very, very basic, pallet on, pallet lift, a pallet with a truck, put it on the rails.
Yes.
That's going shuttle now. That's going auto. Do you know what I mean? That's going paperless, forklift.
Yeah, like
You know what I mean?
dehumanized.
So you're going to have these stores with 5,000 and 6,000 pallets in them, and no humans and no light and no nothing, just a barcode. You punch into the keyboard what pallet you want, and it arrives at the door for you. You know what I mean? With no human intervention. So that's the future for the racking industry. It's changing. I've never seen it changing as fast in my lifetime. The Land Rover thing, that's sort of harking back to the past, and I always call it the people that are trying to hang on to their youth. They're building the old cars and old things again. You know what I mean? So there's we have three different sets of customers.
Yes.
But they're all changing, and they're changing on a daily basis, and you have to be aware of that. You know, and switched on. So not easy, and you can be caught out. But that's
No, but
just
it's that awareness that you've just had all the time, and it served you well then.
Well, I have a son and 3 daughters working with me in the business, and they will be switched on, and I have a couple of grandkids working in the business. You know what I mean? Like I have one girl who's real sharp on this TikTok stuff, and all this social media stuff. You know what I mean? And like she's at Queen's doing law, and she's able to sort of, in layman's terms, tell me the danger of and the positives of. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you can't do it on your own.
No.
And most business guys or girls that think they can do it on their own usually end up as dinosaurs.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's another massive pearl of wisdom there. You know, it takes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
There's no question or no doubt about that. Like, you know what I mean? I haven't met the person yet that knows it all.
Yeah.
Well, I know I've met a lot of people that think they know it all.
Yeah.
But I have never met one that knows it all, including myself, because every day is a learning day.
So this is one of my favorite questions to ask, Ben. I'm looking forward to the answer from you. If you could go back in time, say to speak to a 15 or 16-year-old Ben, what piece of advice would you give him?
For when I'm starting out? Well, the first major mistake I made in business life was I love fixing cars, right? But I didn't really realize that I was in business.
Yes.
So the first bit of advice I'd give to young people is you need to really differentiate between your business life and your life.
Yeah. Okay.
And that I would be very, very strong about that, because I would have had friends that were working with me when I was young, and they were friends, and because of work and business decisions, they fell out with me. Now, let them be right or let them be wrong, or me be right or wrong. Yeah. That inevitably will happen when you first start out business, and you don't show me a business like Facebook. The guys, whatever your opinion on Facebook, the guys that started it all fell out in the High Court. You know what I mean? So that happens. So it's very, very difficult to prevent that happening when you're young and you're eager and you're jumping into business, because you don't really realize that you're in business. You're just doing what you love. Yes. And the next thing, there's a thing here called a business, and then somebody has to take care of it, and somebody's going to have a long face if they don't be in charge, and etc. 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 So setting out and laying out the ground rules would be number one. That would be the number one thing, and getting a clear understanding of that.
And getting it written down probably as well.
I would have been a fair age before I understood about the old saying, and I used to always hear my mother saying, business is business. You know, business is business. And people, you'd be very mature when you really realize the true meaning of that phrase.
Yes. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, and no, that's and again, as you say, that separation between the whole thing as well, between business and your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Ben, listen, I have enjoyed our chat. Loads of wisdom in there. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing that with us. I hope somebody sees this and hears something they can take action on as well. Again, just thank you so much for getting involved.
No trouble at all. A pleasure.